Jackie, I'm already live. It didn't run the countdown. I think I removed the countdown last week when I was recording a YouTube video. So, all right, well, here we are, just immediately live, no problem. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jennifer Walker Gates, immigration lawyer with JLW Immigration Law Group. I am here today to update the immigrant community about information and legal stuff that has impact on your lives. Hopefully I can share at least a little bit of good news today, but we're going to probably start with some bad news. In this video, we're going to be talking about DACA developments and kind of what's going on with DACA in the United States right now. I think there's some confusion out there about what the situation is with DACA, especially given all the recent Supreme Court developments. But there's also some important updates to understand about work permits for asylum seekers. So the budget bill that is currently back in the House of Representatives, it is very close to being passed, I think, and becoming law. It includes provisions for asylum seekers imposing a fee on the application for asylum of $1,000 plus $100 for every year it remains pending, plus a $550 fee for a 6-month work permit that will be paid every time you renew. If you have an asylum work permit right now, it should be valid for 5 years. The vast majority of work permits under category C8 for somebody with a pending asylum application have been issued at 5-year intervals during the past several years. My recommendation, given this pending legislation that could be signed into law at any time and could take effect immediately or within 30 days after, given that situation, it might not be a bad idea to consider renewing your work permit right now, submitting an application for renewal of the 5-year work permit. Even if you still have a couple of years of validity left on that work permit, this might not be a bad time to go ahead and submit a renewal. So that ideally you can get another 5-year work permit before this very much shorter, very much more expensive work permit for asylum seekers comes into effect. It does seem that this administration is trying to make it impossible for individuals to apply for asylum in the United States. Our humanitarian immigration system has long been actually not that humanitarian. Very, very strict, very difficult to win a benefit in. And this particular administration doesn't have a lot of humanitarian impulse. They don't seem to want to extend warmth and welcome to people born elsewhere. And so for that reason, they are pushing through changes to the law that will make it more expensive and more difficult. I regret that that's the case. That is certainly not the way that I wish things were unfolding, but it is the way things are unfolding. And so if you are a person who has a 5-year work permit under category C8 because you have a pending asylum application, this might be a good time to go ahead and submit for renewal. And hopefully you can have something that will allow you, at least for the next few years, to avoid some of this expense and hassle involved in renewing the work permit every 6 months for $550 each time. That does not include lawyer fees either. So for folks who are able to renew on their own, it will be $550 under this new legislation, which is already substantial. And then folks who aren't comfortable filing on their own will also need to pay in addition to that. So unless you have, unless you're lucky enough to be one of the few people who are supported by the nonprofit organizations who receive their funds from places other than their clients. So that's the bad news for today. The good news for today is that here in Texas, our office is in Austin, Texas, and we are still receiving work permits for our DACA clients. In January of this year, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Louisiana issued a ruling confirming a lower court's finding that the DACA regulations and the whole DACA program was likely unlawful. They limited, however, the confines of their decision to the state of Texas, and they also found that the provisions regarding deferral of deportation were okay, but the work permit benefit was a problem. So there's been a lot of speculation and confusion about, like, oh, you can't get a work permit under DACA in Texas anymore. Oh, you can't renew your DACA in Texas anymore. And then I've also seen some individuals, including attorneys, saying, well, we should be able to file new DACA applications outside of Texas now. Then when the Supreme Court last week kind of struck down universal injunctions, what are called blockades on executive orders nationwide, other people began to say, well, then this should apply to DACA as well. And there could be legal challenges coming against that nationwide injunction on DACA outside of Texas. We might see that happening over the next couple of months. I hope so. However, the Supreme Court's order last week with respect to the birthright citizenship order is not retroactive. They did not say this applies to all nationwide injunctions that have ever been issued. What they said is, these things need to be carefully tailored and limited to the plaintiffs involved. If the plaintiff is a state, maybe the state boundaries, the states who are involved, the states that can show that they've been damaged or harmed by this legislation. Those are going to be the limitations of these court orders now, rather than being able to block things nationwide. So while you still can't provide or submit and expect to receive a decision on a new DACA application, if you've never had DACA before, if you never got DACA before 2018, you still can't get it right now. You can submit an application, but it is not likely to be adjudicated right now because that Judge Hannon's from the Southern District of Texas, his order is still in effect nationwide. The case is back with Judge Hannon. And until he issues an order otherwise, we are seeing no change in the way that USCIS is adjudicating DACA applications. People are submitting their applications, they are getting renewals, they are getting their work permits renewed. All of those things remain intact. If you have DACA, it is a really good idea to try to explore with an attorney whether you already qualify for other more permanent status. And if not, what would need to change, either in your circumstances or legally, in order to qualify for something longer term. Really good idea to have that information in hand in case the order comes out from the court, which it could any day, really. But in the meantime, we are seeing consistently clients getting their work permits renewed, their DACA is getting renewed, and those cases are turning around really fast. So that is the update there. If you would please take a moment, share, subscribe, comment on this video, please. Get the information out. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of misinformation flying around on the internet, and we don't want people to waste their money, waste their time, get hopes up, or put themselves or their families at risk by following information or suggestions that are not correct. So please share, subscribe, comment. please leave us comments. I do respond to the comments. I'm happy to do that. Whether you're working with us, another attorney, or filing on your own, we want everyone to have information that will help you be successful in this process, in this very, very cold and cruel system that we have in the United States for immigration. I don't see questions coming in right now. However, I'm happy to answer some. If you want to post them as comments under this video, please don't hesitate to do that, and I will respond to them as soon as I'm able. In the meantime, please know that we at JLW Immigration Law Group are so grateful for our immigrant community. We are really grateful and glad that you are in the United States. We are very lucky. We consider ourselves extremely lucky to work with the immigrant community, who is a group of people that is extremely resilient, strong, brave, self-sacrificing, representing values that we want to foster in America, in the United States. And so for that reason, we thank you for being here. We thank you for coming. And I am here to support you in your journey. So please don't hesitate to reach out. If you need specific legal advice for your case, whether that be for your DACA case, for your asylum case, for your adjustment of status, for your family consular processing case, removal defense, we are also helping people get out of detention. These are the kinds of cases that we take, so please don't hesitate to contact us. 512-633-1785 is our phone number. Our team will help schedule you with me or any of the other attorneys in our firm. If you give us a call, you can also find us on the web at https. Let's just shorten that, jlw.law. If you put that in your browser, jlw.law, put that in there, come and see us, schedule an appointment with us right there from the website. We would be honored to support you in your case. And we will look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday at noon, where we will be here again, providing as much information as we can and answering questions. So in the meantime, take good care, share, subscribe, comment, and we will see you again next week.